I have two favorite Stanley hand planes, a 60.5 low angle block plane and a 603 smoother. And I got a new strop and some honing compound. I thought I'd give this a try. I guess the main thing with planes, once you've got them straight and sharp, maintaining them is a lot easier than taking them from scratch and trying to get them super sharp. So these planes I keep in really good order, and what I find is I never need to go much more grit than this diamond stone. As I recall, this diamond stone I think is the equivalent of 600 grit. And so with a little bit of time on the diamond stone, and then I'm hoping with this green honing compound, I can get that mirror finish that you see sometimes where you literally polish the blade to its final sharpness. What you find when you are using the diamond stone, even though you do both the bevel and the backside, you tend to get a little bit of a wire barb. I don't know what they call it exactly, but it's like a wire. And what the strop will do is take that off. It'll take that down to absolute fine blade sharpness on both sides. And I think one of the giveaways, well, obviously one of the giveaways is how sharp it is and how sharp it feels, and if it cuts through paper, etc., etc. But the giveaway to me is that mirror finish. If you get it to where it is literally reflecting light like a mirror, I think you've got it down to where you want it. I've never really brought these planes any sharper than the 600 grit of this diamond stone. And for everyday use, generally, I think it's actually perfectly fine. Again, if they're straight and true and well tuned, they work fine at 600 grit. But here I've taken the 600 grit stone, I've marked the bevel with a felt pen so that I could adjust the angle of my guide to get that bevel parallel to the surface. I ran it up and down quite a few times, then turned it over and ran it on its backside a few times flat. And now I've put this green honing compound on the strop, and I'm pulling the blade towards myself, pulling the blade along its bevel. And I think, I can't remember, I think I counted the times. I don't know that I pulled it more than 30 times, so it didn't take very long at all. And you could see that very quickly it took the metal from the little fine scratch pattern from the 600 grit diamond stone to like a mirror. And once I had done that, I also drag the backside of the blade, pulling away from the sharp edge with the hone, and then wipe that off, put the plane back together, and I tried it out on a piece of wood just to see how it worked. Once this was super sharp, I was careful putting it back in. I didn't want to ding it against the edge of the plane. I didn't want to ding it against anything. I just simply set it back into the plane. These 60.5 planes, at least mine, works perfectly. It tends to hold the blade straight. It's easy to adjust. It's got an adjustable mouth, and you can spin it down to a super fine cut. And that's what I did here, just sort of testing out my new ultra sharp, mirror-like, shiny, sharp blade. And I just put a piece of oak on a clamp just to make it kind of as tough as I could, because oak, I don't know, has never been a real friendly wood to plane, and you can see I'm getting super thin shavings. And this with a block plane, I wouldn't even normally use a block plane along a 3/4 inch edge of a board, but just to test it out, I was very happy with the way this plane was performing. I also did just a few chamfers on the edge. It took just string-like chamfers off. So hey, very happy with my little 60.5 low-angle block plane, having been newly honed. You can see I'm trying to get a reflection here. The blade is like a mirror. So I'm going to move on now to my 603 smoothing plane, but just again trying to get you a picture of the sharpness of that blade. I back it off to put it away. Just set up here for a little photograph. There's the plane with its sharpening equipment. Now here's the next one, my 603. My 603 is a nice plane in that I've replaced the blade with a Hawk blade. I think it's better steel than the Stanley blade. I know it's thicker than the Stanley blade. And again, I keep this blade sharp. I keep it sharp on the 600 grit stone. Here I am again marking the bevel so that I can adjust my guide properly to get the angle right. And it takes a few tries generally. I get the stone wet, take a few swipes at it, and check my Sharpie marks to see if I'm getting the front side of that bevel or the back side of that bevel. What I'm trying to do is hone the full bevel, and then I will make the slightest adjustment, bringing the blade toward the guide to get a slight little micro bevel. But after you've done this a few times and you kind of sight down it, maybe shine a light on the edge, you can see there I'm not getting quite towards the end, so you just shorten that distance and do it again. I've thought about making myself a jig to make this adjustment a lot faster, but I tend to do this every time, just fuss around with it until I feel like I'm getting the full length of the bevel. Once I do that, you can see it took quite a few tries. Once I do that, again, I will take quite a few strokes until I get a nice, even, shiny finish, and then I will adjust it one last time at the end to get a slight micro bevel, and then I'll turn it over, run the flat side of the blade against the stone to pull off any burr that might be on there, and then I'm going to take it over to the honing compound on the leather strop and try this polishing out as I did on the 60.5 block plane. Again, this is the first I've ever used a leather strop and honing compound, and I have to say I definitely like it. It polishes this metal. Again, you've already taken it to 600. It polishes the metal pretty quickly and pulls that little wire burr off, and you get a super sharp plane, I think pretty easily. Again, this is as sharp as I usually ever get these planes, and they work great at 600, but it's easy to go further with just a little bit of honing compound and a piece of leather, and I just kind of found this out the easy way by just buying a piece. I'm going to get a longer piece of leather. I think this is maybe too short because these strokes you have to take are so short. Again, the green compound, I don't even know what the grit is. I think it's just ultra fine, and it must be made up chemically in such a way that it sure polishes the metal quickly. And again, it brings it from the fine scratches left by the 600 grit diamond stone to a mirror-like finish pretty quickly. again, I think I took maybe 30 strokes pulling that blade along that honing compound. And it didn't take long. It got shinier and shinier. And then once I had done the bevel side of the blade, I flip it over and also pull the blade across the flat side at a slight angle, because that little wire burr tends to kind of roll up, and that way you're pulling it off of the back side as well. Could I do this more? Could I get it to where the whole back of the blade is like a mirror? Of course I could, but I'm pretty happy with the finish I got on this. And again, the plane performs great, stopping at 600, and so this honing is, I think, for me at least, taking it to a much finer level. And again, I'm going to clamp a piece of wood in and give this number 603 a try. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to get really fine shavings out of this plane. Here's my piece of oak, and I'm taking a few strokes, trying to get a fine shaving. There they come, and you can see how quickly and how nice and thin they are. The plane just glides, doesn't hang up at all, and I'm very happy with the results from this honing stone. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If so, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.